Hey everybody, it's Brad Linder back at you again with another card. We've got the Mummy today, and I just want to share this over with the page real quick. This is going to be a fun one. I'm going to try to mummify this guy and see if I can't make this work, and we're going to see how it comes out. So, bear with me just a second while I share it over with the YouTube channel and the page, and we're going to get right into this one as always. So, hold on in 3, 2, and hey, it's there. Cool deal. Now, I'm going to get over here. Hey, Kevin, Mark, glad you guys made it on. I'm going to get into this thing now. So, what I'm going to start out with is because of the fact that it was a character that was human at some point. So, I'm going to go ahead and put a flesh tone in here and kind of base this out a little bit, so we can actually see how all this goes, okay? So I'm going to start right here. It'll give me a little bit of a defining point as well, which is awesome. Okay, so we've got that going on. I'm trying to make sure I'm not going to bump my camera arm here. And got that going on. Cool deal. So I'm going to be fleshing out this card tonight, and then tomorrow I have the Savage Dragon, and then on Thursday I have that big 4-card He-Man piece that I've been holding back on, the He-Man in front of Grey Skull, and rounding out that set, because I wanted to hold on to that just a little bit more. Oh, I knew I was going to cross that over. That is a bandage across his face, and we do not want that to be colored up. Flesh tone. So, just saying. But anyway, didn't know it was going to be a musical, did you? So, we've got that going on, and I'm going to be wrapping up this set, because those will be the last 3 of the original cards, and then I'm going to be bringing in some new stuff and drawing out some new heroes and villains and things like that, as well as pulling out some stops on the comic pages and stuff, and getting that stuff up online so you guys can check it out and start enjoying those. Now, I know this is going to look weird at first with me base coating this in the flesh tone, especially with everything going on from the Mummy being more of a pasty character because he's, rotted away and all that. I like the idea of doing this because of the fact that it allows me a base coat to come in and really, really mess this up. And I do this a lot with zombies and things like that, and especially characters like this, classic horror characters, because of the fact that it warms them up, so when I come in with all those cool colors, they really stick up and they pop. Now, I'm not doing this like Silver Surfer or a couple of the other characters because I don't want it to look chrome. I want it to be flesh. So there is a difference, and we have to be slick about that because there is a huge difference in tonality for that, and texture and all that good stuff. We don't want it to look metal. So, because I see a lot of people do that here recently, where they go in and they say, okay, I'm just going to color it this way, or I'm going to color it that way, and they go in and make these weird changes to where everything comes in all funky like that, and I just don't see it working that way. So that's the reason why I did it this particular way instead, because I wanted it to stand out and be really cool and freaky. So we're going to make him ghoulish and go from that. So I don't want to cut into just anything here. I want to make sure that I get him wrapped up really well and I don't go over the bandages that I intended. I know this has an animated feel to it, and I wanted it that way because my style is leaning towards that. I was also going to show a couple of pieces that I pulled out to, kind of refresh everybody's memory here, and go over those as to some of the bigger pieces and what to expect with the He-Man and Grey Skull piece, because I am so excited about that card. I also have something special coming up. Rusty Gilligan referred it as a suggestion, and I thought, that sounded great, to do the original I know I've already done Captain America and the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four, and Cap from the Avengers, and I thought it would be neat to do the original 40s version of Captain America with a nice, cool, classic Namor or Submariner, and the android. I've forgotten now. The android now version of the Human Torch, so that we can get that going on. It's late, but I thought that would be cool for the original Invaders, and it would be nice to show that off. So we're going to be doing that later on as well, coming up in the next few cards we have, because like I said, I'm going to be doing this every day up through May 3rd, and then we're going to move on to doing it a couple times a week, and from there take it step by step to see how you guys like it, because I'm still going to continue to do it, but just a few times a week so I can get more into the comic books and producing that webcomic at a more steady pace. And the reason I've been holding off on that launch is because of the fact that I wanted to make sure everything was in place for, the sketchbook to finish coming out and moving forward. So bear with me on that, because I've been having a blast with you guys and I love doing this thing. But like I said, doing it every day takes a little bit of time. I got some stuff shifting off the desk here. I'm going to grab on the side table so I don't lose anything. But yeah, we're going to keep going with it, and we'll push through and see how it goes. And if you guys take it up and it goes crazy, awesome. Kevin, you're crazy, man. Hey, Jim, glad you made it, man. Let's see. I'm going to go with some grays here and start getting into this just a little bit more, because I want this to, like I said, look like a guy that was mummified and has that kind of tone. A lot of these have browns and maroons in them, as well as the grays, but I'm just going to kind of build this up a little bit, and we're going to go through here and knock this out. So it shouldn't take too long, because I really, really dig this, and I'm used to this stuff, so I can knock these out really quick, because the layering thing is a cool practice for me, and it's spot coloring, so it's not as aggressive as going in with the Copics and layering everything up, which in my case that's easy too, because I just burn through them, but that's due to technique and practice of doing that a long time. And I really dig getting in here and practicing new techniques with these pencils and mediums and stuff, and so that's where we're at right now. Now, I haven't decided what I'm going to do with the eyes yet, by the way, as we go through this, so I don't know how exactly I'm going to color those yet until we get more towards the end and we see how the tone comes out. I might make them glow. I may gray them out and make them empty eye sockets, which is most common for this particular character, because this is the movie monster now. This is not, any cartoon character or anything like that. It's based off the Universal movie monster, which I've already done Frankenstein and the Creature from the Black Lagoon, which I love that character. That is one of my favorite all-time movie monsters right there. Probably next to Jekyll and Hyde, it's one of my favorite classic movie monster books. And the funny thing about it is that I just haven't seen a really good Frankenstein movie. I just haven't. And I have one a story for that in my comic books from Firestorm, and I'm going to be bringing it out as a character, but it's a modern sci-fi approach, so it's not necessarily going to be the classic movie monster of old. This one has to deal with a Nazi backstory of trying to make super soldiers out of corpses and things like that, and it going nuts. The program going nuts, not the character. So more on that later. but that is copyrighted and trademarked, so please don't do that because he does appear in Adventure Inc. So keep that to yourself. Even though I've mentioned it here, I've given you guys an insight on a couple of things like that. So you know how it works. Don't go run off, try to take my ideas, and I won't try to take yours because my attorneys definitely will have something to say about that if anybody gets nasty with it, which I would hate to do that. That would just suck. That would be horrible, and I would hate to see that go down that way, but I've seen it before. You know, McFarlane and Gaiman got over Angela like that. They got bent about Angela that way, so be sure to stick to your guns, you know, and do the right thing. It happens often. But anyway, keeping on a positive note here, I'm just kind of toning this down because, like I said, I want it to have that washed, nasty gray look. So we've got all that going on. I'm going to adjust the table here just a little bit. I moved it out earlier, and I want to make sure it's stable. So we've got that going on. Now I'm going to tone in this hand and make that come down this way so we can see what's going on over here with the side of this thumb and this other knuckle, and then I'll go back towards this side of the hand. This is awesome, man. This is really cool. I love the way these things blend up. I really do. I'm going to be doing more of my how-to stuff here pretty quick because I got asked about that today, you know, a lot lately as to, you know, when are you going to be able to do this and that and the other, and when are you going to bring out the course and whatnot. I was going to bring it out in May, but I decided to hold off on that and pull it back a little bit, and then I decided to move forward with it. So now I'm going to kick it out at the end of April. So you guys will be able to get into that course, and I'm going to start throwing that down pretty quick. Also, Creating Comics is going to be pushing a lot more creative stuff. So I'm going to get into that, you know, methodology and anatomy and all that cool stuff here pretty quick. So you guys will be able to get a good chunk of that if that's what you want to see. But we will go from there, and I'll still be doing, like I said, a couple of shows a week. But with my new podcast and the webcomics and everything taken off, I've just got to make sure that my timetable sticks so that you guys don't get ripped off by me overdoing it. You know what I mean? You know, I didn't see the new one yet either, Jim. Jim had, for you guys that can't see over on the YouTube channel, Jim has talked about, has given honorable mention to the original Mummy films. And yeah, I like the Brendan Fraser trilogy. Well, yeah, if you don't count the Scorpion King as part of the trilogy, which is a standalone, it's on its own thread, but it is part of that saga. There's 4 or 5 of those in that original series with Brendan Fraser and, you know, The Rock, and then they made a couple of spin-off films of the Scorpion King, and I think they got up to 3 or 4 and had a different actor play him for a little while, that kind of thing. And I haven't seen the new one. And, you know, in action movies, I like to see Tom Cruise, believe it or not, because he's got a niche. You know what I mean? I mean, I know people pick on him and stuff, but the thing is, he does have a niche for those kind of films. And, you know, Day After Tomorrow is still one of my favorite movies because every time he turns around, he gets crushed, or, you know, as my daughter calls it, scrunched, and he either gets squashed, he gets blown up, he gets shot. If you haven't seen the film, it's like Groundhog Day with an alien invasion, where he gets stuck in a loop and comes back and back and back and back. And it's a really good film. I really enjoy it. But primarily because of the fact that this, you know, the humor of it, because he got, you know, crushed a few times and in mishaps. But I won't give any specifics, but, you know, any more than that. But that's enough to take the storyline. You'll get that from any description or any DVD case that you read, so, or any major review, without qualms. So, you know, we've got that going on, and it's been out a few years now. So if you haven't seen it yet, You should check that one out. That's a good one. Um, but as for the Mummy, I didn't. I have no offense to the actors or the writers or anybody else that's involved, but I don't have an interest in watching it being gender swapped, because it just doesn't it isn't the Mummy that I grew up with, and it isn't the Mummy. I mean, I know Universal's trying to modernize it and bring a different story twist to it, but it's not the original material that I enjoy. And if they're trying to modernize it for a new generation, kudos to them, more power to them. But it's not mine, you know. It's not my age group that's going to resonate with it. So I can totally see why, you know, Jim wouldn't want to check it out yet. But go check it out, you know, see if it's any good. Redbox and Netflix are fairly priced for that kind of thing, and it's not going to cost you too much. But give it a go and see. So now I'm going to go with this, what I keep calling this copper color or gold color. I'm going to go in places on this one, on the bandages, and I'm going to start doing this. And I'm not going to go in and highlight all of these just yet. I'm going to hit in certain areas and move forward. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want them to look dirty and sandy and oxidized. And I want them to look that bandage color, you know, that old school movie color of the tainted bandages. Now, I know this is really bright for this right at the moment, and they look, you know, like super present, but when I tone it down, it'll look way better. But we're going to start in with the primary colors and get these things lightened up. This is going to be my light tone as the base for what I'm doing here. I'm doing kind of the Venom thing, which you guys know with me, that means not going out to the edge, just coloring within. So I'm trying to knock these bandages out and give them a little bit of tone so we can see where they're at and what's going to happen there, and give them a nice base color for reference. So there we go with that. I'm going to get these down here first, because that one's hanging off the arm there. That's hanging off the arm. That's the reason it goes down like that. And now we'll go underneath here. Catch this one off the old rib cage. And we've got some hanging down here, dangling off of stuff too. So that's no problem. Got a little open air there, right there in that slot, and right there underneath. That's cool with me too. And now we have, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and backdrop that, because I'm not sure if that's going to look right with me not blacking that out or coloring it in. So I don't want it to look awkward later, like part of his arm's missing or something. So we're going to go in here and color this up this way. Now, whenever I get this going, this one's going to be a pretty heavy piece, actually. I'm digging it. Going to knock this out. And whenever we get to the end of this one, like I said, this will probably be the last monster that I do for a bit. I'm going to get back into the comic stuff and move through a lot of those cards that way as the original theme went. I know I did a lot of animation, a lot of cartoon stuff, a little bit of horror movie stuff, and I wanted to break it up a little bit to show the variations on the cards, because of the fact that I just didn't want to get bored. You know, that's my biggest fear with these, is I did not want to get bored, because then I would stop completely, and then you guys wouldn't have anything, and you know, you'd be emailing me all the time, and, hey man, you disappeared on us, what the heck, man? And I didn't want to leave you guys hanging like that. So, but I still wanted to do 100 days for these cards, and I've got way more cards than that, way more card sessions, but I wanted to make sure that I actually had 100 days, which would be May 3rd of last year to May 3rd of this year. So that's how that works. But yeah. So we've got that going on, got him colored up. And now I'm going to move into this other piece here. Yeah, Day After Tomorrow, man, that's a great movie. I really enjoy that one. I have it on DVD in a couple of different versions, and I really, really love that movie. Um, and like I said, anything where Tom, and it's not just Tom Cruise, it's pretty much any actor. Having a grown man scream out of the blue like a woman, that's just crazy funny to me because I'm an old-fashioned guy in that regard. Um, and I'm animated like that, so my personality comes across that way, and people that know me personally up close will know that I do, joke around like that. I'm an extreme personality like that. You guys just don't get that on here, because if I was that amped up the whole time, I do that on speeches and podcasts and displays and stuff like that, and appearances, but I tend to keep it more low key with this because I have to stay focused on what I'm doing with the drawing. But if I let loose all the time, you guys would be like, that guy's crazy. So, that's one of those things. You got to moderate it. It's not time. But anything like that with characters that go crazy and, you hear squeals and screams, from doing stupid stuff, it just busts me up to no end. So I just think that's hilarious, and I totally get the humor in that movie. So, and that's exactly what it's set for. It's the tone of the movie. It's to break up the drama with a little bit of humor here and there. And Cruise has started to do that with a few of his movies. Oblivion has a few spots in it like that as well, where they're trying to get more humor into it. Jeremy Renner joining the Mission Impossible crew has brought in a lot of humor as well, and now they've got Henry Cavill, aka Superman, in there as well. And if you don't know who Jeremy Renner is, he plays Hawkeye in the Avengers if you're a comic fan, and played in the next to the last movie for the Bourne Identity saga, and he played one of the next agents, and they decided to bring Jason Bourne back. So I guess he saw those ratings go up, and Matt Damon said, no, we can't do that. I'm Bourne. Not that Jeremy Renner's character played Bourne, though. It just cracks me up to see those guys freak out about that kind of stuff. Now, moving on here, I'm going to add in a little bit more of a chocolate brown color, because I wanted to add in just a little bit of this rust type of, oxidation type of look. So I'm going to go over the edges here with a little bit of this just to bring things together, and kind of mute out the white spaces is what I'm looking for. There we go. Mute out the white spaces. I was going to ask you guys, have you seen this is a show I got hooked into a while back when it originally aired, because I think it ran from 2000 to 2009, and then it went off the air. Did you guys ever watch the original Trading Spaces series on the Learning Channel? I mean, I'm not getting paid to promote them or anything. I'm just a fan. And because we're constantly changing the house because of the fact that my daughter loves to decorate her room and stuff. And we're constantly updating the studio and whatever. And, it's always changing. It's ever changing because of the fact that we get so bored and want to keep the dwelling fresh. You know what I mean? That's the easiest way to put it. But otherwise, people are moving around and they be changing every single day, be changing houses like underwear, just be freaky. But they're bringing back Trading Spaces to TLC. I saw that today when I was checking out a couple of things, and I don't watch much TV, but that one just that show fascinated me because you get the inside. You get the inside the head of the people that are trying to swap out the spaces, and you never know how it's going to be because it's a gamble on every side of that thing. And that's how Ty and a couple of those other people made themselves famous over the years. He's the carpenter and handyman on that, and he was on ABC for a long time with joining the Makeover Home Edition and all that, all that stuff. But I don't know. I think I'm going to give it a shot. I don't get into politics or anything like that. As far as that goes publicly, I keep my opinions to myself because too many friends are lost over that kind of thing. As you guys know, we don't discuss that here. But as far as that show interest, I thought it would be neat to mention it because, I used to do that because of my design background. And it's not too heavy. It's just something I have an interest in. It's more of a hobby thing. But, yeah, man, I was addicted to that show for a while. Let's see how this guy's going to come out. I think it's going to come out all right. I think it's going to come out. It needs something, though. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with a little bit of purple to kind of liven it up a little bit and give it a little more of a muted pop, a little more red color, because it's looking a little psychedelic there, and I don't want it to look that way. I want it to get that burgundy look. There we go, to offset his skin. And the reason we do that is because when it oxidizes, all the fluids that have been absorbed out of his body where he was wrapped come into the mummy's skin surface and then go into the bandages. And it's to absorb them and to protect and preserve while it's setting. And think about that one. I mean, if you want to get all scientific and gory about it, they used to wrap because of, it was partially ceremonial to protect the body, but it was also a hygienic thing to preserve it because it would absorb all those funky fluids coming out of the human tissues, which is kind of gross when you think about it, but it is what it is for the process. So, c'est la vie. It is what it is. But now I'm coming in off of this one, putting a heavy shadow underneath here. And I'm trying to shadow the heavier places with a little more purple as I go along so that we can opt out of doing those funky shades of gray. I want to keep it simple and keep it bright because I think that if we go too dark with it, it's going to wash it out because it's already getting muted. And that's why I'm trying to prevent that with this purple separating the flesh tones from the wraps. So that's what we've got going on here right now. I'm going to get in here and heavy this up just a little bit, thicken it up, and there we go. Now it's starting to take shape again because that's what I was afraid of, and that's why I always go brighter with the color in contrast rather than going darker because it's easier to add more color and make it look animated than it is to go realism and have to erase half of it, and I'm not into that. So I don't want to go that route. I just literally do not. And I like my stuff to look a little more cartoony and a little more animated and a little more comic. I think people tend to get too realistic with a lot of this stuff. And some of this stuff comes out really cool and, it'll get 3D looks going on. But primarily, though, I like to keep it very simple and keep these things to where they come across with a two-dimensional layer to where they're definitely comic book looking, where you look at them and it's a drawing. And I don't want it to be so lifelike that it's like, wow, man, is that a picture or is that, is that a picture or is that a drawing or is it what? And I don't want to get into that mess because then it's too dark or too drab for me and I don't enjoy it. So now to finish this out, I'm going to come in here with this dark brown to give us that, I'll go with what my daughter said earlier, which is funny because she said, don't make him gray and gum chewed like a walker. She said, make him, which we don't let her watch that show at all. None of the family does let the kids watch the show, no grandparents, no parents, no, we don't let them do that because they're too young for that right now. But one of the cool things about it is she's seen pictures of the walkers and things, and she sees my stuff and friends' work, and she goes, the walkers look like chewed gum. They're that washed out gray. She said they look like old gum. She said make the mummy look like he's beef jerky. And I found that hilarious when she said that. I was like, what's your food and candy reference thing going on? And she goes, "You do the same thing, Dad." And it was funny. Busted me up. She said, "I get it from you," and then gave me this evil laugh and walked away. I thought that was hilarious. But and I know I don't talk about her a lot, but that's, I like to keep my family stuff private, personal, personal, um, especially where my daughter's concerned, because I like to keep her nice and safe and sound. And there's been issues with people knowing about her in the public previously. There's I don't want her to come to harm because of anything that I do, or someone coming after my family because of the fact that they want to be stupid. Stalkers are not your friends, guys. But yeah, and we'll leave that there. But anyway, instead of making a transition, we'll just go awkward and move on. But so we've got this going on to where I'm shading him up here, and he's starting to get that, for lack of a better term, that wonderful reference of beef jerky look, which I may never eat that again now. But we've got him going on. Now I'm going to darken out these nails, and that's why I left that white rim around them, because I'm going to darken them out with this brown and make them look oxidized and look fossilized. So we've got that going on. And that's the reason they turn brown like that. The oxygen and the minerals around them get into the skin, into the tissue. So they get into like the nails and the teeth and that kind of thing. And that's why they turn that funky sandy color. And then they turn dark like that. And it's because that bone is fossilizing. Believe it or not, that's breaking down and fossilizing. That's the reason the mummy does that. And now everybody will put in off-colored teeth because of the fact that it'll show up better on camera. But in this case, I'm going to go dark brown with it, like it's actually going to naturally look. So we have that going on. Now I'm going to go back in before I tone this down with a brown on it or a gray wash. I'm going to make this sarcophagus back here a bright orange base for the gold effect, because I know it's going to look funky at first, but the reason I'm telling you this now is because the reason I'm going in orange with it is because this museum storage room back here is supposed to be dark. So what does gold look like in the dark? It turns orange or brown, right? So that's the reason why we're going that way, because it's going to be off color. So we've got to go in and tone it down and shade it out from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back over this very lightly with a solid brown color. This is the light brown, that chocolate brown looking one like I told you before. And the reason I'm going to come in with this one is because that orange is going to make it pop, and it'll look almost like a burnt orange kind of thing going on back here, but it won't be so dark and so dim that it contrasts or conflicts with this. It'll be a nice tone for it, and we won't have to worry about that now. Okay. Now we got that covered up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back in and color some of these boxes a little bit different with some of these dark greens and dark grays that I have, and bring that all up nice and neat, kind of different, to bring in some textures and cross some colors here. And I'm going to make it look more geometric rather than asymmetrical, which, if you don't know what asymmetrical is, by the way, asymmetrical is basically this. You have an A shape, you have a triangle, you have an A shape, ding. So you get that, you get that going on, you get that triangle. More geometrical is going to be different shapes and variations, okay? So you're going to have like blocks, squares, rectangles, cubes, circles, that kind of stuff. You're going to have, geometric shapes. So I am tired. I can tell I'm getting I'm losing my words. But Yeah, that's a sign of me being tired, because I'll tell you guys, I was up for 26 hours straight, which I know that's nothing, but the thing is, I only sleep about 3.5 hours a night anyway, due to a natural insomnia that I have. Okay, it's a condition, and I sleep maybe 3 to 4 hours a night unless I get sick. Lord forbid that doesn't happen, because I'm way too busy for that. But I have some stuff going on now to where I was up with getting some artwork done. I was doing a ton of stuff. I got everything prepped over for the YouTube channel. Over 100 videos in the last 24 hours, because all they were compiling the card screens for the intro slides and posting them up on YouTube. And I got them all prepped in the last 24 hours. And then the 26th, the last 2 hours of that, I was doing nothing but hammering out page work. And the reason for that was I was laying out entire books to get arcs ready for later this month, whenever everything takes off, so that I can have all that out of the way. And it was just bonkers, man. I mean, in that 2 hours, I laid out probably, I think, and we're talking, 8.5 by 11, 4-page up layouts like this. On these grids, I was laying out mini pages, as we call them, thumbnails in the business. And I probably got through 4 comics, 3.5, 4 comics worth of layouts. And I mean, that doesn't sound like much to most people, but for me, that is a huge thing, okay? Because I like to lay them out fast, and I lay out the entire book, and then I go back and edit it and make any changes in the walkthrough, and then I go back through one final time and put them over on the actual pages. And I was getting so close to putting them over on pages, but I needed to rest, so I had to window that block time for a nap and say, okay, I've got to look at this, and this tomorrow. And I crashed out for 3.5 hours, got up 3:30 this morning, got up at 7 o'clock with my daughter, and was ready to rock and roll, man, and didn't miss a beat all day. But tonight I am definitely feeling it, and I'm trying to get this done so that I can be in bed a little bit earlier tonight to catch up and try to push a 5-hour sleep night, hopefully, so that I don't burn out or get cold or get the flu or chills or anything weird like that, and that I can keep pressing on for you guys. Because when you wear yourself out like that, you have to plan for it, and you have to move through and make serious changes to your conditioning. I knew I was going to do that, so I stayed hydrated. I got everything going on as far as good food in my system beforehand, all day long, and kept that good stuff going, and my vegetables, my fruit, and a lot of protein to keep me running, and then knocked a bunch of stuff out. And so many people go, well, I was up all night, and I stay up for days, and yeah, but that's not healthy. So I'm over 40 now, so I don't do that anymore unless I need to. Staying up for a week at a time, if my insomnia kicks in, that's one thing, but otherwise I'm going to bed at some point, dude, even if it's just 3 or 4 hours. So, but like I said, I get as much rest in that time as you guys do in a regular 8-hour night, so, and it's been tested and proven, so hey, cool. But anyway, enough of that ramble. We're looking at getting a bunch of this stuff live, and I'm going to be showing you guys a couple of things off the sidelines here, just as reminders of what's coming up, so we can see that going on. And a little bit of a reflection into what's going on with this card set real quick, because people have asked me to see the set and update it, and I'm like, okay, we'll do a little bit of that, but I'm not going to stay on forever to run through all of them. I just want to kind of cover it for purposes of people asking, and we'll go from there. But yeah, man, this is coming along, and we are rocking this out. And I'm going to put something right back here just to block that out a little bit, so it's moving forward. And now I need this gray again, so mute these, boxes down just a little bit because I don't want them to be super bright. And like I said, this is supposed to be dark. Okay, boom, there we go. I don't want it to start looking cartoony, you know. There's a difference in comic art and animation, and it's starting to look cartoony, and I don't want it to look too bright because then it'll look goofy. But we're going to take, let's see, I don't know if I want to go that route or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to go with this light gray, and I'm going to knock this out this way. So we have this going on, and now we have the room dimmed out. Yay, cool deal. Okay, I'm going to do this metal bar here, this metal handle, and I have decided what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these and I'm going to mute them out. I've got a really cool dark brown here to make these hollow out. I was going to highlight them to make them glow, but it just doesn't do it justice, you know what I mean? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this brown, dim them out like that, and to make them look like eye sockets, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and make them look totally sunken in with this gray here. And then I've got a really cool dark brown right here. Going to kind of color in the middle, Venom style a little bit again. So we have some leftover eyelids on there, and they'll be bunched on the inside of the eye socket, and we will have that go on. So now we've got the mummy. Hope you guys dig it. I don't want to go any darker than that because I don't want to wash him out, okay? That's the reason I'm not going to like dual shade and all that. But we've got that going on. Oh, bear with me here. I've had a update pop up. I want to get that out of the way. Now, we've got that going on there. We've got him knocked out. Just so you guys can see a little bit of what I was working on, I have a nice piece of the Night of the Living Dead relapse. So there's a little sneak peek at that, and it's very animated in style. There's a little peek there. And so you guys have some access to some of the bigger pieces again. Just a little bit of a review of what's coming up. This is going to be like the same size as the He-Man piece that I'm working on. Here's the opposing Skeletor piece with Snake Mountain. And I just wanted to show you guys by touching base with the Juggernaut here again. These pieces are all going to be available for the Kickstarter and the sketchbook. So you'll be able to check those out. My favorite Wolverine piece in the set is Sabretooth against Wolverine. I thought I'd show that one with you guys a little bit to let you know what's going on there. We've got that going. Let me see here. I'm trying to grab some of these other pieces because I know you guys wanted to see them and get a little bit of an update. Now, Apogee Comics, where I did this piece, it is still there. I still have the finished piece of this one. This is one that I did the original inks on before I formatted it and printed it over to make the print. So that's still here. Let me see. I can't give you prints of it, you guys, but I can give you the idea of having the full piece with no problem, the original artwork. Now, I just wanted to show a little bit about this one because some people ask how I do layouts and things. And this one is very special to me because this is Wes Schomer's book that I did the storyboards for. Just to give you guys a little more of an insight on that one, here's another page which we laid out for it. That's the main character waking up in his spaceship. It's basically a cryo tube that he woke up out of, and we've got him getting dressed and talking to the computer. That's the reason he's looking up. He's talking to the ship's onboard AI system, and you can see him loading up with his gun there. You can see him putting his boots on, getting in his clothes trunk, putting on his pants, that kind of thing. There's a window of the ship there to show where he's at. And I just thought you guys might like to see some of that stuff as to, some of the things that I've worked on with that. Someone asked me on my timeline, there is a Joker Batman piece that is on there, and I got asked about it just yesterday, and I wanted to go ahead and show you guys. This is where I was trying to do a recreation of the original 1930s style Batman in my skill set and my style, so that we could see what the young Joker and the young Batman would look like. So I thought that was a cool piece. I'm going to move that around a little so you guys can see it. And there's another more traditional Batman down here. So, I just wanted to kind of play around with some of that stuff a little bit. And let's see, I have another one here for you guys. On my timeline, I also got asked about this one. This is a sketch I did on the fly with a couple of markers, Crayola markers that I had back in 2016 when I was sitting in my doctor's office. I had Deadpool tape some leaves and branches to it around himself, and instead of it having "I am Groot," it says "I am Groot," and has Groot slashed through, and it says "I am Deadpool," just to be kind of funny. And he's pointing, a blade at baby Deadpool here, or a baby Groot actually. So we've got the blade over here pointing at baby Groot, which was right after Guardians of the Galaxy hit DVD, and I was just all about watching that one. Valentine's came around. Valentine's Day that same year. I did this a little bit earlier, so I thought you guys might dig that. The Groot with the rose growing out of the end of his finger. I thought that was pretty neat. I did that at the same doctor about 2 weeks before I did the Deadpool, when I was having my regular blood work done, annual checkup type stuff and whatnot, and doing the healthy thing for the family and whatnot. So you guys got to see a little bit about that. But anyway, I'm going to call this one. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, and as always, I hope you dig it, and I'll catch you tomorrow with Savage Dragon. So until next time, you know what we got. We got this planned for a little bit of time, so you know what to do with it for the next generation. Talk to you.